So we just got some amazing stories with Chris Applebaum, and I tried to say goodbye, and he doesn't want to leave us. So we're going to continue and have two special guests with us, Master Chat and Master Espinosa. We're very excited to see what stories come up next. So great that in your podcast episode you mentioned that the kids are our future, and these two. So let's introduce them. Thank you for sitting down with us. This is Master Espinosa and Master Chat. They are such staples and leaders in our Victory community, and we're so happy to have them because we got to come visit you guys on your side of the USA. So thank you for being with us.
Absolutely.
West Side.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about that. Does especially with children or with anyone, I mean, does self-esteem come first or confidence come first? Is that hand in hand? And we also have belief. So those are the three. Mm-hmm. What order does that come in?
Well, so kids get their confidence from parents, right? You develop self-esteem when you actually do things yourself and you know that you don't need the help from others, right? So, but as you grow up, then what happens is there's no, and then there's obstacles, and then there's barriers. So then one is not just able to just go and do things just because your parents are there and you have confidence around your parents. Then it takes this thing called courage, right? Being willing to take risk when you don't have the confidence. And so going to what you were saying earlier about where does that come from, most people lose what it is that they really want to go after because of all of these barriers and obstacles that come up through childhood and life, and then they don't have the confidence or self-esteem to go after it. But if anyone at any age just thinks, okay, well, what was the dream that I had before, right? Would it still be cool to do that? If not, what would be cool to do? What would be desirable in this moment? And then that's what you would focus on. But without having the structure and the emotion, the knowledge and the legacy, if you don't have these aspects built into your persona because you trained and developed it, then you don't have anything to hold on to, right? You don't have that pole to latch onto. With a solid foundation, then you can do that. And that's where, yes, you need confidence, but much more courage because you don't have confidence in the beginning. You can train something just like actors go in and they can nail their scene 10 out of 10 times, but then when they go into the callback with the director and the producer, it's the first time that they're doing it. And you can have confidence in what you did before, but confidence to do it in front of new people and the network, right? Or the director, right? It's like you can't have confidence. You never did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need courage. And people always focus on, especially here in Hollywood, this idea of confidence, but it's much more courage that is required. The willingness to take the risk without having the confidence, without knowing, right? And so that's where all of the structure that your father brought to Victory Martial Arts and the life skills, and later we can talk about how XMA, combined with the life skills created our leadership program, but it's all about that foundation.
Absolutely.
I like what you're saying, and it causes me to reflect a little bit on maybe speaking a little bit on that confidence aspect. A lot of people come from so many different angles, and something that comes to mind is belief, right? When we start from the aspect of a child, people oftentimes judge this statement. You have a false sense of confidence that you're teaching. You're so positive, and you're instilling so much belief in these kids, but is it really confidence that you're giving them, or is that a false sense of confidence? And I think there's actually, and I might get rattled by this by some viewers, but there might be a place for a false sense of confidence. And let me qualify this. Imagine that your son is learning how to ride a bike for the first time, right? Never did in their life. If they don't have the courage, what's going to get them on that seat to begin with? You know what's going to do it? It's going to be the parents who's going to hold on to that little training wheel and hold on to that seat and say, you can do it. Go ahead and try. And as they do it, guess what? You're holding on to their seat because if you let go, they're going to fall, right? But as you're holding it, you're saying, you can do it. You're doing it. You got this. You're instilling that sense of belief. The child's starting to instill in themselves that sense of confidence, which one day becomes self-confidence. Now they don't need to hold the you don't need to hold the seat, but the kids got it this time. But there has to be that place, and that I think he talked about that you have to come to that place first, that courage. You got to instill it in those kids first. You got to get them to that point until you can finally go and say, hey, that false sense of confidence turns into self-confidence at some point. And that's where victory really comes in, that structure, emotion, right? Then the knowledge of understanding what you're doing, and then legacy. Legacy is the ability to know that you have an understanding of what you've learned, the value of what you learned, and to be able to spread that to others.
That's so right on. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I think one of the
Yeah,
things that's
I know
important,
that was really great.
as you were talking about that, that made me really think about like how, you know, in our culture right now, we're so ingrained in like flipping through social media and seeing these like memes or these like sayings, you know, and you can intellectualize it, but then how do you actually, of course, you want to like find courage within yourself. Of course, you want to become confident, but those are just words. Like, how do you, what's the physical manifestation of breaking through a barrier to find courage, you know? And I think that that's what really clicked when you were talking, both of you guys, realizing that there's a way you can probably gain that by being, you know, physically, you know, brushing up against failure and confronting that to break through a barrier. I think that's really cool. Because it's transferable in so many different ways. So I'm a filmmaker, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, we started talking about this. Jana and I were discussing this a little bit in our last segment. You know, how do you reach inside yourself to, you know, to find greatness or just to find a victory, you know, a personal victory, you know, find a personal success. And so this is a very interesting, I see it.
You know, a little to piggyback on that as well. Victory is really special because it not just educates the child and allows the child to unfold those experiences that develop that eventual confidence. Parents who are sitting on the floor are actually being educated on that too. And they're being supported, and they're seeing their role as parents and how to be very purposeful in directing their children towards those life skills, in this case, confidence. So they're developing some guardrails, the to-dos, and hey, stay away from these words. When you say, you'll never clean your room, you'll never amount to anything. And victory teaches that there are real strong consequences to directing very specific words, because we talk about belief, and kids will match the level of belief that even parents will say without even knowing. So it's so important that
right.
You know, we're in a place where we understand these life skills, how they're developed and then manifested and developed with these kids. And that's why, you know, victory, it really brings in a little bit of that foundation and structure.
Yeah, and what you were saying about how does one do it? What are the actions to take, right? How can I myself break through these barriers that I might have? And it really comes down to the way that we are as people, right? You've heard this, we are people of community and tribes. Well, you know, now here we are modern day, it's all about the community. People come for the training at Victory, they stay for the community, because it's the community. It's not one individual alone. It's we together, right? So individually we can go faster, but together we can go much further. And when you have not one, but a whole class of people behind you, supporting you and their parents, and then that's your one class of many classes within the school. You get together for testings and graduations and special events. And there's this entire community that's, you know, this little microcosm within the world. But in one Victory School, you have a tremendous amount, hundreds of people, maybe even thousands, depending on the size of the school. And that one school is part of the region here in Southern California. And then it's part of the West Coast, right? And then it's part of the, you know, the western half of the country. And then, because that's how Victory's broken up, and then nationwide, right? And then we have international schools that are affiliated with Victory. And it's you're here as an individual, but also part of this greater community that expands much beyond the walls that we can physically see. And that's what's so amazing. The support is there to help move you down the line when just maybe the people around you immediately aren't enough. And so when you're left to your own devices, you don't want to go out. You stay in your room. You stay at home. Right? But when you've got everybody calling you, hey, we missed you. Where were you? people coming to your house, hey, like,
Mm-hmm.
you got to get to class. That it makes it so difficult to not succeed, to not overcome the challenges because you have people pulling you up.
Right.
Keeping you
Right?
accountable,
Yeah.
supporting you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about what we do.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
incredible.
that
It's
I know that I've
amazing.
given you a little. You've seen
No.
some stuff on my Instagram
Yeah,
of
yeah.
us kicking around, but it's so much more than that, Chris.
Sure.
It's a mental and physical and like I'm so glad he mentioned community because really, I mean, on this incredible tour that we're on to the different locations and talking to, it has all been the same. It's been my lifelong friends. It's been the community. I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for the people here in this location. And I love that you said that it's like you have it kind of is like that zoom out lens where it's like,
Absolutely.
because it's like, yes, you have their community and to them
Right.
that's their whole world, but then they get to go to World Convention or they get to go to these tournaments and meet other victory students from across the way that have the same goals. And I think parents
Right.
really like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm a new mom. I mean, he's 3, but I still want to call him a baby forever. And I think it's really important for me to know the parents and the kids that he's spending the most time with. And Victory has really become that second home for so many people. And learning those stories and being able to share their stories are why we started Victory TV.
You know,
Incredible.
I can
Incredible.
sidebar what Master Chat said when it comes to my own personal training for so many years. Someone asked me just the other day, you know, how did you get to this point of 8th degree and been here so long? And I want to speak to that point of longevity. Exactly what Mike Chat said is if it wasn't for the fact that I'm saturated and literally inundated with a community of people like-minded who are endeavored for personal excellence in every aspect of their life, I wouldn't be continuing to progress where I am. I have I would be the first one to admit I do not have in my own devices the level of self-discipline to be able to have gone this far if were not for people like Mike Chat and other people who represent a level of personal excellence in this industry. Physical, personal, financial, relational, social, emotional. It goes well beyond martial arts. And I think that's something really worth speaking about, that it's all about the tribe. It's all about the community and what we stand for. And all you do is throw yourself in that community and watch what happens to you. Watch what you become. Watch how you evolve. And, like I said, left to your own devices, you may get somewhere. But with a group of people like Mike Chad and people like Janet in this industry who think 30 years ahead of us, I know that we're in a good place, that we can start from a structure of positivity just from being a part of this.
Well, I think everybody can relate to that. I mean, and I think right now it's incumbent upon us, we've all splintered off into different factions based on the post, COVID. And, we're all, somewhat isolated. I mean, we've become used to being isolated. So, I think it's absolutely critical to find a way to connect and get back together and that's it. I think also just having a community that helps to bring you up is like absolutely like it's because I do think that inside people are struggling to succeed and to figure out how to succeed, and they maybe feel like because they're isolated they have to do it on their own, but you don't have to if you're surrounded by the right people.
Yeah. And what you had said about, just like-mindedness, we all choose what groups we want to be affiliated with and our friends. So you've got, parents look at, okay, well, what sports should I get my child into? Well, when you look at the community of sports goers, athletes, fans, then along with sports comes the pizza and the burgers, and it's like where people go afterwards, and then they watch the games and they have their soda and their drinks and all of that.
Yeah.
Like that's that lifestyle.
Associated with that. Yeah.
Yogis, yoga people, it's all about healthy, fit lifestyle. And so they're drinking their tea, and not that they don't indulge in other things that aren't so positive, but the mindset, the spirituality, the wellness is very much ingrained, right? in martial arts, the very first thing that you learn at Victory is when you bow, you say, yes, I can. And that's a reminder that you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Anything.
Anything.
And it's like, that's the first thing you learned. Bring your feet together, hands at your side, chest out, chin up, right? When we bow, we say, yes, I can. Make eye contact, right? It's like, how can, as a parent, how can you argue with that, right?
You can't.
And then
You're like, I want
Right?
that.
Sure.
when the base is, diet, exercise, sleep, right? Like you eat right, you stay healthy by exercising every day, doing what your martial arts, right? It's kind of hard. And then when you have the physical and the mental aspects of martial arts, and then you add in the spiritual aspect, it's like it's just another level.
That's your trifecta.
Yeah, none of the other sports have that spiritual aspect to it.
You're right.
Right? And now that through competition and through modernization of martial art classes, we have a team element to the class through demo team and the camaraderie of the school and the community and the events that we do. So, you do get that. It's not just an individual, aspect anymore and sport anymore, but there's just so many great benefits. We could talk for days on this, but that aspect of the yes I can, and starting with the mental versus the physical, right? The first thing isn't to learn how to kick or punt or block; it's to believe in yourself, and it's the mindset.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what we teach. And I want to go into the innovation of our industries a little bit, because we are sitting with three people who have been very, very much part of watching your personal industries kind of change and grow and evolve. Really would like to get into XMA and the extreme martial arts, because it actually connects your worlds. He comes from, Mike Chat comes from a very much industry background, being one of our original Blue Power Rangers from the Light Speed Rescue season.
All right.
But that kind of just started his journey in that. And so I really would like to hear that story. But because of his innovation in martial arts, our programs have changed tremendously, and I'd say is probably the structure and the root of keeping these kids excited. I had a really great conversation with a student last night who his mom said that he was feeling unmotivated. He just turned 12. He wasn't sure if he wanted to continue with martial arts. They'd been doing it for a few years, and the instructor invited him to do demo team, which then added music to his martial arts, which added choreography to his martial arts, which added tools, the weapons, the kamas, the sword, the bow staff, all that flashy, fun stuff that I'm sure you've seen in many commercials and films, and the Bruce Lee stuff. Well, that stuff, Mike Chat completely was able to modernize that, bring it to the market, and now we teach it to, there's hundreds of thousands of people all over the world that get to experience martial arts differently and stay motivated and keep it cool, because now we got Cobra Kai, which is like the #1 show in the world.
Right, yeah.
And so it's just, I am so excited that karate isn't something that is from the past, that it's not, oh, that was cool, I did karate once. Like, it continues to stay alive, and it's because of the media and film and television commercials. But really, Mike Chat and you being, with the World Demo Team and everything you guys did, this is just something that didn't exist before. And so I kind of wanted to speak on that.
That was quite, would you agree, kind of a lost demographic, to kind of digress a little bit of where the landscape of martial arts was. It had evolved since the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid. And as I understood it, lots of children flooded the gates of our martial arts industry. And of course, we already knew that very strong machismo men who wanted to learn how to defend themselves, and women got into kickboxing. So we had those two demographics, but the missing one that we were trying to find out, how are we losing this missing link? And that was these young teens. And you said it, they're too cool for school. They don't want anything that puts them in any type of structure. They want to have their own freedom. They don't relate to little kids, so they want to be around them, and they certainly don't want to be around their parents who are also in class, believe it or not. So maybe you can speak on that, because you certainly opened the doors with a whole new level of industry that I truly enjoyed writing. So I am not the pioneer by any stretch, but I really bow to you, Master Chad,
Me too.
on bringing that aspect that made it the industry so new again.
Thank you. While you're here, before you have to go, I think this might be an important aspect to share. So the reason why I got into martial arts, because I was the immigrant kid, didn't fit in, got bullied, the one token Asian kid growing up in a Midwest suburb that was upper middle class. And I used to watch these voice dubbed kung fu movies on TV. Samurai Sunday in Chicago. All day they played kung fu movies.
Samurai Sunday.
Samurai Sunday.
That's funny.
So I had this insatiable need to do something that made me strong, that made me feel good. I saw these guys flying in the air, throwing 1,000 kicks before they landed in cool poses. I was like, I want to do that. But it was never about doing just what other people were doing. I always wanted to do something different, something better, something more unique. And so then that's where the creativity came in. And so, Einstein says the brain is not designed to memorize, it's designed to create. And this idea of just taking something that someone did, like, here's a block, here's a punch, but I want to make it better. I want to find a way to make it stand out even more. And that's what separated me from my other classmates, because I was always in search of something more. So I just spent more time doing it. And that's what eventually turned into the XMA program. It was about, okay, people are competing in it. You see it in TV and film, but where do you go to learn it? I wanted to go learn it at the Olympic Training Center. They didn't have a program for it. Nobody was teaching it. I just learned from other competitors. So I just created the program that allowed instructors to teach this style of martial arts, which was just a mix of martial arts. You had seen some of it in TV and film, but then fast forward, it was all about, for the industry, helping the industry create something cool for kids, where wearing a white uniform to the grocery store after class was not cool. And that's why we would lose all the teens.
I would get bullied all the time. Oh, you karate kid, why?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm going to kick your butt.
Yeah. Kids quit martial arts because they didn't want to be seen in a white uniform walking around with an orange belt. Yeah. So we changed the uniforms black, and we did the cutoff sleeves, and we had these cool moves and choreography. And then these kids that I had in my original team, Taylor Lautner became the highest paid actor in the history of film as a teen. Many of the Marvel DC superhero stunt doubles, from Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, to Iron Man, Daredevil, Captain America, all of these, even Keanu Reeves, John Wick double, they're my students. Or like Cobra Kai, we had over 15 performers working on Cobra Kai. Several of the doubles were our people. And then my students were the instructors of these kids doing Cobra Kai for season 6, right? And it's just incredible to see the bridge and the gap. But it was something fresh, and it was all about the creativity, not just the structure, because you have to have traditional aspects and foundation to have extreme martial arts. But so the traditional is always there. That is the underlying base. But when you see people throwing these cool flips and twists and then landing in these poses and throwing, kicks and punches, it just helps to elevate the excitement level, which is conducive to, keeping the attention of today's youths and, not getting distracted from, other stuff on their phones. So
I'd like to think of it as telling those kids, I said, hey, instead of playing those video games and be
in the video game,
you get to be the video game itself.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other conversation, because we are going to work on that. Victory will be gamified. I promise you. You're gonna go take a class, depending on how many kicks or how much sweat, and then you go home and you'll be able to earn your stripes online. But that's a whole
really
other conversation.
Cool. That's great. That's great.
I just have to say it to manifest.
Tap into the future.
Listen, I'm gonna have to take off. I apologize. I could stay here forever, because honestly, like, everything is sparking, in my mind as I'm listening to you, and like how that, the victory community and what you can learn correlates to so many other things in life. So these are like transferable skills. Can't wait to see you guys, hopefully at a location close to me in Calabasas. But I want to thank you guys for, letting me sit on and ask you some, compelling questions, and, in, learning more about this.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so
Thanks,
much for
Janet.
sitting with us. This is such an honor, Chris, and I love you very much.
Likewise.
Nice
All
to
right.
meet you. Thank you
Nice
so
to meet
much.
you. Take care.
Chris, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, so nice to meet you. All right.
So we just said goodbye to Chris Applebaum, and now off camera, we were having a great conversation about the young parents like myself and educating us in this generation on how to start strong with the structure of raising our children. So we could pick it up from there.
Yeah. So parents bring their kids to victory thinking that we're going to train their kids. Actually, what we do is we train the parents. And that's a good thing, because what happens is we cannot do our jobs without the help and the support of parents. So our number one focus is always not the student. It's just do whatever the parent wants. The parent wants discipline for their child. Our goal is to support that parent. And in the eyes of the child or the student is to show them that the parent is the authority at home.
Mm-hmm.
We're the authority at the school, and they have to determine who to listen to and when, but we're always supporting the parent.
Absolutely.
So you're always going to hear one of the reasons why your parents brought you here, right? See, the reason why your parents brought you here, the reason why your parents have you do this, the reason why your parents have you in leadership, the reason it's always because we want to highlight the parent for their decision. We boost and give confidence to the parents in their decision, because many parents, they don't even realize how big of a deal it was for them to come in and enroll their kid in their leadership program, right? Because yes, if you're just starting and you're not sure and there's a lot of unknowns, basic program. But when, it's our job, like a doctor, to prescribe.
Absolutely.
Then when a child comes in and they're capable, able, they have some confidence, they've done other sports before, we tell them, look, you could do the basic program, but your child is ready for leadership right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to get started. You could just start in leadership. And they don't even know that. And taking the first step is so important. Many parents, they go shop around and they wind up not even enrolling their child.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's too expensive. They don't understand the value. They just focus on the price, right? And that's the common issue that we deal with in our industry. So supporting the parents is such a huge deal. And then all of the training is then done through the parents. That's why we bring the parents onto the floor. Yes, you're going to participate, parents, and we're going to have the kids do drills with you, and you're going to support your child in the process of training. So this way, it's not the child alone. When the child goes home, it's something fun that they can do with the parents, and then it's an interaction. And, there's a saying, family that kicks together sticks together. It sounds so cheesy and corny on the surface, but hey, when you have a partner to go to the gym, it's so much more fun.
You go to the gym.
Yeah, you go to the gym.
Yeah.
When you go to a book club, like, you're more apt to finish the book.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's just disguised, but it's true. When you have a partner in crime, right, or in leadership, it's just more fun. And then that's where we get longevity, and we're able to really lay the foundation and develop people, create positive impact in their lives. But it's all through the parents. So that's
thank
a
you,
really
parents.
important. Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't do our jobs without you, parents. But it's important to know that you are an integral part. Like, we can't do it alone. They're with us 5% of the time. They're with you 95% of the time at home. So together we have a triangle theory at Victory, right? Parent, student, teacher. And we have to work together with the triangle theory, and there can't be a break in the communication. Parent needs to know what's going on. Instructor needs to know what's going on at home, and vice versa. And so that's where the communication really strengthens over time to then produce the best black belts and the best leaders.
And that is really, you don't really find that in other sports. I don't know if the t-ball coach is really asking, like, how are things going at home and in school? And, are they sleeping in their own bed? Or are they saying yes and thank you? And are they listening? And are they looking you in the eyes? I mean, it's not really what the t-ball coach asks, So this is just very, very different and not really your typical after school activity. And that's why we need these parents' commitment and investment to know that, this is for, like we were talking before, this transfers into all aspects, especially adulthood. And I think as parents, we all, and you guys can agree, that we want our kids to be the best adults because we won't have as much influence then. So we got to do the hard work now.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to address one thing that I think might be helpful for parents out there. Then, when students come to a victory class and they show up late, it's not like other sports. Okay. Yes, in the old days, we used to reprimand the students, but now if a student shows up late, it's a celebration. Hey, look who's here. And
We're
that,
so happy you made it.
yeah. And it's not that dreadful walk in the door and everybody's staring. It's like, hurry up and get in line. You know, the kids are celebrated, but we have to recognize that the reason why kids are late is not because the kids.
Right.
The parents want to blame their kids.
Mhm.
Not you parents, but there's some parents
Other
out there
parents.
those other parents, they want to blame the kid. Well, because they were watching TV, they were on the phone, they couldn't get off this.
Yeah, they couldn't find their bell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But who's the parent?
Right.
And when parents don't understand that actually it's their fault,
Mhm.
right? And that they need to be responsible for controlling the environment. Well, if they're on their phone, who gave them a phone? Who allowed them permission? If they're late because they're playing the video game, who bought the video game? Who allowed the video game to be there, right? If they're watching TV, yeah, but who controls the TV, you or the child? Who's the parent here? The kid or the parent, right? And so there are things that, kids don't come with a manual. There's a book now on that, but I was going to write that book before someone took my title. Kids don't come with a manual, so parents don't know. They don't know that they need to be in charge of these things because nobody educated them. And so that's where victory comes in. And that's what I love about the victory system so much is that your father was the one that said, no, he came from South America. He's like, no, this is like, it should be like this. And it just made so much sense. So that's one of the reasons why I was so enamored by the victory system, because of the life skills and the structure. I brought in all of this creative, exciting, XMA stuff, but the leadership tools and the life skills that are there for the families to then be educated by and then to use in their daily lives is incredible. So that's super important.
Super, super, super important.
You brought up so many initial when parents walk into the studio, the new parents, and I don't want to categorize,
Yeah.
but I have a feeling that a lot of the new parents right now don't feel that they have the power, that there's somehow that they're on an equal level and they're finding their relationship with their children. And it's so surprising because when parents walk into our studio and all the things that Master Chat highlighted, that we send them and understand that how are you doing at home, at school, outside with the relationships in the playground, and we're putting some level of participation from the parent. Parent, you're not just going to sit down and look at your phone. We're going to ask you and have you participate by celebrating with your children, being able to
Their hands
recognize
hurt
them,
after
right? Be able
so
to
much.
affirm their behavior,
Yeah.
not just at the studio. And oftentimes I have parents coming in saying, "Wow, is that how it's done at the studio?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "You're the parent."
Expectations.
We sometimes I have to just simply say to the parents, we're nothing more than just being an alliance together. If you want for your child to have that confidence, to have that discipline, to have that respect, to be able to instill some level of structure in their life, we can't do it alone. Like Master Chat said, we're only 5% of what the child sees on a given day. You're the other part of it. So all we can do is align ourselves with you and be able to come together with that same like-minded goal for your child, and we hit it home collectively. And so parents are like, wow, there's something more about this victory school that I didn't experience before.
Yeah, the saying, you rise to the level of expectations, right? And parents don't understand that all of the things that parents complain about when it comes to their kids, there's another version of that,
Of course.
right?
Yeah.
So when a parent says, yeah, like I can't even get them to go take their plate to the sink, pick up their stuff, right? Pick up their towel, do the laundry, right? It's like, that is such a minimum level of expectation versus the expectation is you put away your dishes, you do your laundry, you make your bed, you do all the things that parents want the kids to do. That's minimum level. There is no life beyond that until you do those minimum things, right? So then what if there was a world when before you got up from the table, your child has already cleared the table, right? Rinsed off the dishes, put it away. And when you turn around to your child, instead of having to tell them to go do that, they say, Mom, I cleaned up the plates. I'm going to wipe down the table. Is there anything else you need before I finish up? Right? Hey, I already took out the garbage. Is there anything, Dad, is there anything else you need? I'll take care of it, whatever it is, because I would like to go and have some time on my game, or I would like to go out with my buddies.
What'd you do to my son?
Yeah.
Where's my son?
So
We
many
get parents saying that all the time.
Yeah, parents cannot imagine this because they're like, what are you talking about? I can't even get them to do the simple thing. But who's the parent, right? So with Victory, the expectation is what? I mean, we have these quadrants. I don't know if they know about the quadrants. 66 elements of instruction that we teach from, that our instructors are educated on, even our juniors, like 10, 12-year-olds are educated in legacy on these structure, emotion, knowledge, and legacy. There's 10 elements for a student to learn, 10 elements for an instructor to learn in each one of the quadrants, plus 6 life skills, okay? 66 elements of instruction. No wonder why Victory students excel so much in sports and academics and other areas of life. It's because they're being taught these life skills, but it's not by accident. We didn't manifest, let's put this goodness out in the world and hope it comes back. No, we're training them. We're taking actions on it. And that's what's so powerful is that it's the consistency every day, every week when they come to class, and they're training it. They're developing it. And it's the expectation is you walk in the school, you bow, you say, hello, sir, hello, ma'am. You don't walk in, you don't leave without greeting or saying goodbye. Right? That's the minimum expectation, right? And then bags and shoes in proper place. What? Bags? Line up your shoes? That's a normal thing? No, it's expected. You don't put your bag in the right way. What are you doing? Get back here. Or another student will catch you, right? And so these are the things that are part of the system at Victory that allow us to do so well. And then the parents sit back and watch and they go, wow. First it's, I want my kid to be like her. I want my son to be like him. And then when they start going through the program, all that loose casualness starts to go away. And then the confidence and the strength, right, starts to come in. And then they see their child standing strong, using a strong voice.
Making eye contact.
Yeah.
Here's the key. Everything he's just saying right now is repeated. These are systems that are repeated every day, that are consistent. And it's those repetitions and consistency that yield what? Healthy, permanent habits for those children's lives, right? And that's what makes it so special is you can have a coach and nothing wrong. There's special people out there. And in sports, where oftentimes martial arts are compared to sports, but something comes to mind is coaches, oftentimes there's a relationship that builds some of these life skills in those children. But oftentimes those are by accident. You have to wait until you are found in a position where those are coachable moments. Well, guess what? Victory puts that on purpose at very specific times in an entire cycle throughout their entire training towards black belt and beyond. How cool is that?
It's the coolest.
Right?
It used to be, you would learn these life skills over a lifetime. In martial arts, 20, 30 years, you would learn these life skills. Now, with your father's system of Victory leadership, it's all compacted into a 3.5-year program, 2 black belt, and then beyond. But it's systematized, right? And so that's one of the huge bonuses, because it's not, you don't learn it intrinsically through the teachings, and it's very, very specific on a cycle where every 2 months you're going through the training, and every single class is on a class planner. So when you go to a school in Orlando and your parents are in LA, this happens all the time. We would get students from Orlando and San Antonio, and they would come in and they're like, well, I was told that you're doing something similar in class. I said, no, we're doing exactly the same thing they're doing at your school in Clearwater.
You
today.
get to do it here in
Yeah.
LA.
We're doing the
Right.
exact same thing. We run off of a system. And so it's not a hodgepodge of whatever the instructor decides to do that day. And whether it's a 15-year-old filling in or, a master
Right.
instructor teaching
be
the
the
class.
same way.
You can have
It's
a
the
different
same.
instructor
Yeah.
It's
exactly
supposed to
the
be
same
the
way.
same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's something that I would just piggyback on. What makes Victory so much different from other places? Before I even discovered Victory, the way I was brought up in martial arts is you teach whatever you feel. And at some
Yeah.
point, by the time your student becomes black belt, you would have instilled
You're-
everything that was in there to get them to where they're at. Victory, you got your class planner from what to do today for what you're going to do the week, this next testing cycle in the 3-month period, all the way towards 3.5 years on average to become a black belt, and then of
Yeah.
course beyond. So big, huge difference. And then we can communicate and we can actually support on an instructor end. That's just a little side note that we can now be able to share ideas on instructors. Hey, how are you succeeding in this area of this life skill
Right.
with this technique on these class
This
planner
group of kids.
time slots, and then we share it nationwide, and we're able to have that support system so that we can successfully institute all of those areas on a daily basis very consistently.
Yeah. When we were coming up in martial arts, then what happened with students was that they learned whatever the instructor's favorite things were. If you love sparring, well, that became a sparring school. If I loved weapons, we were doing weapons, right? And it shouldn't be about what I like or what you like. It's what do the kids need?
Yep.
And to be well-rounded, they need the class planner that Victory has. Hand techniques, kicking techniques, you've got your self-defense, board break, weapons. If you love breaking boards, but you don't break boards today, that wasn't your favorite class.
And now you're gonna come back?
Yeah. It's like, and you didn't break boards twice in a row, you might not want to go back to class. But then they're going to do their weapon. They're going to do the sparring. You're going to do all of the things every single class, and that keeps everybody motivated. And this then lends itself to the Victory system, which now that people understand, they're like, oh, how is Victory growing? Why is Victory so successful? What is this life skills program all about? Oh, you've got, Grandmaster von Schmeling, you've got all of the Victory leaders. You've got XMA that's part of it, and this leadership program. They trained all the people in the ATA. Okay, well, now Victory's branching out and allowing other systems to come in, partner, utilize the structure in the system. And not that they need to lose their identity and become a Victory school, but essentially they get to use the system, right? Retain their own identity in their communities.
Branding.
And just continue to help build the community. So I think that's great because the expansion part is exciting because we'll just be able to reach more people through all of those that are affiliated with us.
Yeah, you could easily see that Victory is not trying to change technique from another brand. They're just opening up the philosophy, going back to what he said. What are the children's needs? Because believe it or not, there are martial arts schools right now that don't even think on those parameters. They said, my technique, this is how I learned it. That's what my instructor did. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's the framework on which they present and deliver their product. And we're saying, wait a second. This is why martial arts has been held back for so long, is we never really recognize what are the needs of our community to the degree that Victory has now addressed.
We had to say ourselves, okay, well, I was taught this way, so this is how I'm going to teach. Wait, maybe there's a better way, right? Same thing with parenting, right? Just because you were parented one way, well, I didn't turn out so bad. Well, that's, that depends on who you are, but
It's all relative.
Debatable.
there could be a better way, right? Victory definitely has a better way. So I'm excited about that.
And that is exactly, Victory is a better way, and not only a better way, but we're constantly changing, innovating, and finding more ways, finding more solutions, and not limiting ourselves. And we are opening ourselves to different styles of martial arts. We're bringing jiu-jitsu into our gyms and partnering with other gyms around the country, and just taking it, again, on the mat, off the mat, and bringing the Victory system. And maybe you don't want to change your logo, and that's okay. But we can still bring you our system, and because our mission is so important to limit ourselves. And thank you so much for sitting down with me today, both of you. It's
Absolutely.
such an honor, and we're gonna do this a lot more because I think that we're getting kicked out, but I could sit here and talk forever with you guys. So that is a wrap on Los Angeles podcasts. We are so excited to have been able to do this and get this together. Believe it or not, it happened very, very quickly, very spontaneously, and thank you so much. The Victory Way is a way that is for everyone, and we're very, very excited to bring that to everyone. So join us along for the ride, subscribe, like, comment, and if you want a victory school near you, let us know.